Dominance. This word is synonymous with sporting. The LA Lakers winning 33 games in a row, Serena Williams winning 34 matches in a row, or Usain Bolt winning every race in his Olympic showings. And motorsport is no different. In rally, Sebastian Loeb winning 9 world championships. In NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson won 5 championships back to back. And Formula 1 has its own long list of domination.
Michael Schumacher,
Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton.
All names that would come to mind when you think of dominance in Formula 1. But now we are in an era of dominance again. And this time, it's Max Verstappen.
It's wheel to wheel. Verstappen is ahead. Max Verstappen takes the lead. This is absolutely epic. The championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021.
This era of dominance has so far been the most dominant era in history. So let's find out why Verstappen's era is different to every other. Let's first wind back the clock a bit, to the beginning of the new century. F1 had just come out of its own small period of domination by that of the McLaren of Mika Hakkinen, winning 2 championships back to back, with the Ferraris right on their gearbox coming into the next season. Ferrari had won the team's championship the year before, and Eddie Irvine had finished just behind Hakkinen in the standings by only 2 points. But back in 5th place, 30 points behind, was Michael Schumacher. First race in Australia. In qualifying, the McLarens were quick out the gate, with the Ferraris close behind. Both McLarens sit themselves 1-2 for the time being, as Schumacher begins his final run. Coulthard spins it coming out of the hairpin, crashing his car and bringing out the red flag, stopping Schumacher from stealing pole. So on the grid, the question became if Ferrari could have the pace in race trim to catch the McLarens. At the start, both Ferraris got a bad start, with the McLarens running away as Barrichello falls down to 5th, as Michael is able to hold on to 3rd. By lap 5, the top 3 are pulled away from the rest of the pack, so now it's just a straight fight for the win. This was until Pedro de la Rosa crashes at turn 5, bringing out the safety car. David Coulthard will then take advantage of this to pit for new tyres, until... Even with the Scot pulling out of the pits with the fire looking like it had gone out, smoke filled the air as the McLaren pulled out of the race. The race continued, as Michael pressured Hakkinen, until again, the McLaren engine would strike, as Hakkinen was forced to retire as Schumacher roared past. And as Barrichello moved up to 2nd after the Jordan of Frentzen went off the track, the Ferraris would come home with a 1-2 for the first race of the season, and what would be the start of history.
a brilliant race for Michael Schumacher, who exits the chicane for the 53rd and last time to win the 2000 Japanese Grand Prix and the World Championship.
Schumacher would go on to win 9 out of the 17 races that year, winning his first championship in 5 years, with Ferrari winning their first Drivers' Championship since 1979. And this would just be the start. Season after season, the team of Ferrari and Schumacher would go on to win 5 championships apiece, with this period of Formula 1 being seen as one of the most dominant eras ever. Ferrari's last year as reigning champions would begin to come to an end in 2004, winning 13 out of 18 races that year, with the championship run finally being ended by the Renaults and Fernando Alonso. It would be a while till we got to see our next run of dominance in Formula 1, with the 2005 and 2006 seasons being a nice and close fight, 2007 and 2008 again being a close fight between the McLarens and Ferraris, and 2009 being the love story of Brawn GP. But 2009 was also the start of something new for Formula 1, the beginning of peak Red Bull. Coming into the 2010 season, Red Bull was on the up and up. Only having joined the sport in 2005, Red Bull had continually grew, and had shown that they had podium and even race-winning hopes, with 2009 finally bringing the team's first win and winning the 2009 Teams Championship, with our next driver, Sebastian Vettel. Abu Dhabi, 2010, the final race of the season. 4 drivers came into this race for the chance of the title: Hamilton, Webber, Alonso, and Vettel. Both Hamilton and Vettel were the outside chance for the championship. Vettel got pole, with Hamilton, Alonso, and Webber behind in 3rd to 5th. At the start, Vettel held off the hard-charging Jensen Button into turn 1, with the other cars holding station, until... This crash, of course, would call out the safety car, with cars pitting every which way, with every car on a different strategy. After the safety car, both main rivals of Webber and Alonso began to fight with themselves, both having an early pit stop to stop each other, with both of them now beginning to get stuck down the order. All Vettel had to do was win the race, and wait and hope that Alonso didn't get P4 before the race ended. Vettel crossed the line and waited. And finally, Alonso would only get P7 at the line, as Vettel would become the youngest world champion in Formula 1 history, and would be the next driver to be remembered for one thing: dominance. Red Bull and Vettel would again go on to win championship after championship, just like Vettel's hero before him, with the 2013 season being one to remember, with 13 out of 19 races won by Vettel, and with none of those wins being back-to-back, with Singapore that year being the best case for Vettel's dominance. Vettel would only set a single lap during qualifying, and then watch from outside his car as no other car could match his lap time. Then, during the race, nothing could stop him. Safety cars, crashes, nothing would stop him from winning yet another Grand Prix. But all good things must come to an end, and with the new regulations of the V6 turbo hybrid era, Red Bull would fall back down the order as the new dominant force would arrive. Bahrain, 2014. After coming back to the sport in 2010 and signing Lewis Hamilton in 2013, Mercedes came to the new regulation era with a car which looked set to win everything. Both Silver Arrows filled the front row of the grid, and at the start, both cars pulled away from the pack with a massive lead. Hamilton and Rosberg began to battle, cars going off, locking up until finally, Lewis Hamilton would come out on top, leading to the start of a new era in Formula 1. Hamilton and Mercedes would go on to win 6 drivers and 7 team championships, with Rosberg just being able to beat Hamilton in 2016 for the title. 2017 would see the start of the new regulations again, with it this time seeming that Ferrari had the fastest car at the start of the season. But with bad results and bad luck for Vettel, Hamilton would again go on to win the championship, with 2018 beginning almost the exact same way and repeating the year before. 2019 and 2020 were years that other teams would want to forget, as Hamilton would go on to win both championships again, with him finally beating Schumacher's race win record of being the first driver to win 100 Grand Prix. But finally, in 2021, everything would change. The end of the 2021 season will go down in history as one of the most dramatic and most controversial finishes to a season ever. And no matter what your opinion is on it, one thing is for sure: it was time for the era of Max Verstappen. So far, Max Verstappen has won 3 Drivers' Championships, with Red Bull winning 2 team championships with him. But this era of Formula 1 has always felt different than any other. So why is Max's dominance so damn different? Well, first, there is a number of wins per season. In terms of percentage of wins per era, for driver, Schumacher got 56.4% win rate. Vettel, even with having 9 wins in a row, only got a 44.2% due to him only winning 5 races each in 2010 and 2012. And Hamilton, even with Hamilton only winning less than 10 races per season once in 2017 with 9 wins, he only got a 52.9% win rate, smaller than Schumacher's. So what are Verstappen's? Even though it has only been 2 years and a bit since the start of the true Max dominance, Max's win rate is 76%. Less than a quarter of the races were won by someone that wasn't named Max Verstappen. And the teams, well, Red Bull had won 84% of the wins since 2022. This just shows the main problem that Max's era is so different: the other drivers. Michael Schumacher may have won more than 50% of the races, but each and every race, you never knew if Montoya, Coulthard, Hakkinen, Raikkonen, Alonso, Button, Fisichella, his own teammate Barrichello, or even his own brother Ralf Schumacher could win, at just to name a few. Vettel had Webber, Button, Raikkonen, Hamilton, Alonso, Massa, and even Pastor Maldonado. Hamilton had Rosberg, Bottas, Vettel, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, and Verstappen, who could win on their day. As for Max, well, at the start of the 2022 season, Ferrari did start with a good fight before destroying themselves halfway through the season. And Russell did win a race, but now even his own teammate Perez can't match him on pace. And that mostly has to do with the car. Adrian Newey has created the most dominant F1 car the world has ever seen. And the thing is, it isn't even the quickest car we've ever seen. That would go to the 2021 Mercedes, and that is still being beaten by the Red Bull. Ferrari, Williams, Jordan, Renault, McLaren for Schumacher, McLaren, Mercedes, Red Bull, Lotus, Williams, Ferrari for Vettel, Ferrari, Williams, Mercedes and Red Bull for Hamilton, and Max? It's just himself. I remember the day when the Red Bulls were quickest on circuits like Mexico and Brazil, so you knew that there would be a day that the great Mercedes wasn't going to be the quickest car. But now, the Red Bull is just so fast that it seems impossible for anyone to catch up. But hope is not lost. With Lando Norris winning the Miami Grand Prix, and with the other teams with Ferrari, McLaren and Aston Martin now looking like they are starting to increase their pace, and with a new regulation change coming in 2026, who knows what's next for the world of Formula 1. So even if you are bored with the same car winning race after race, even if you are sick of hearing Max Verstappen wins the Grand Prix, just know that it will end someday. And for the time that it is around, just remember that love it or hate it, we are seeing history being made. And that Formula 1 would be nothing without domination. I've been Connor, signing off.